This week, we're continuing The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, otherwise known as It Doesn't Protect Your Titties.
Hi, readers. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, Season 2, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines of any genre. Because that's what we do now.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book.
Hello, readers. For you guys, we are talking about this book over the course of several weeks. We are doing this book in one sitting.
So I'm still angry.
We're still angry. We are coming off of part one, like in the same mental state. All right. So where we left off, Violet made it across the parapet. She's friends with Rhiannon. She made it into Dane's squad. And by some miracle, she's going to be a dragon rider. Maybe.
Yeah. She has to get through apparently some sort of like 3 or 4 months before the actual choosing of the dragons.
There's this like initial entry phase of like going to battle briefs is what they call them, learning combatives, learning how to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's also some other classes, unspecified purposes.
Yeah, just general training. It's like first year Harry Potter.
I was about to say Harry Potter.
They're all living in like an open room, like just rows of bunk beds. Probably what you'd picture if you see, like Full Metal Jacket.
Oh yeah, any of those like military books.
Yeah, this is where we're at in first year with Violet. And that's kind of where we're picking back up.
Yep. Basically, because we need a reason for Violet and Rhiannon to be friends outside of the first interaction. Of course, we get a 21 Jump Street moment, the newer one with Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
And oh no, Rhiannon is super strong, but she's not very smart with history and dates and stuff. But of course, Violet is. And so they come up with an agreement that Rhiannon will help Violet with the combatives portion, I think, because Violet is so weak and wimpy. And Violet, in exchange, will help Rhiannon with her history lessons. Wow. So this is a valid reason for them to be friends at the beginning. Violet continues to not do anything nice for her at any point in the rest of the book. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, pretty much. So I had a very particular issue with this opening sequence where they're describing the bunk beds and the uniforms because you get the like lifestyle details here. All right. I'm going to take a drink before I get into this.
I'm actually curious. I don't know where you're going to go with this. I mean, there's a lot to be mad about, but I don't know what you're particularly...
The purpose of a uniform in any organization, academy, culture is to create a sense of unity and a sense of sameness and reduce independence. Because if you want to foster teamwork, if you want to foster cohesion, that's what uniforms do. That's the whole point of having them. So you don't have independence. That's why a lot of like, it's good when some schools have uniforms. It's because, there's not this sense of like one against the other or I'm better than you because I can, wear this thing.
Yeah.
But that is not enforced here. Each cadet is what they're called here in this academy, has a little bit slightly different of a uniform. What they wear to combatives, what they wear to classes. Violet herself's like, I've got my special dragon scale armor. I'm going to wear that. And everyone kind of does something different. All of the hairstyles are different. Like if you want to convey military academy, like as it's known by the general public, by your general readership, that's not that. Yeah. What you're conveying is,
divergent.
Yeah.
Like they're all just weirdos with dyed hair and shaved hair. And it's like, because we're rougher.
It's a separate world, not an actual organization.
And it's interesting. Me and my partner just started watching SAS Rogue Heroes on MGM. Highly recommend. Weirdly, they're all hot. I love it. It's so good. It's talking about the like establishment of the SAS, which is the Special Air Service. Like British readers probably know about it. But they all have crazy uniforms, but it's all the same uniform, just slight modifications. But at that point, they have all proven themselves to be like crazy fucking killer awesome dudes. But it's like all of these cadets have done absolutely nothing except cross a plank
Yeah.
and that's all
These
they've
are
done.
18-year-olds who still have to go through training. They have not earned their streak of independence.
Yeah.
Because you do get to earn that, I think, in certain organizations, like, I don't know, even like in a hospital when you're wearing like a lab coat or something. Like there's a level of personalization that you get to earn.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's the earn.
Yeah, but the fact that these cadets start out with like, oh, I have pink hair and I wear it in French braids and that kind of nonsense. Like, if your role is to go to academy and learn fighting and learn, dragon riding and learn battle braves because you're preparing to go to war, you don't give a shit what you look like.
Yeah. And I think it kind of feeds into the whole, if you listen to episode 1, my like 2 caveats or heavy caveats about this book. And the second one is sexualization of military women. That kind of feeds into it because it's really just a mechanism for Violet to wear something like not skimpy, but like questionably
revealing.
Skimpy. Yeah, because that's what I don't understand now that we talk about it, because her dragon scale armor thing is described as a corset, which like doesn't protect your titties, which your titties are in front of your heart. And like that's kind of the important part that keeps you alive. And that's kind of something that you would maybe want to cover up with dragon scales. And it doesn't really make sense why you're wearing a corset when you're trying to work out. I'm calm. I'm cool.
Are we? I feel like whenever you get more wild, I kind of sit back and get calm and vice versa. It's the only way we're going to make it through this book.
God.
Okay, so they're in basic training class mode. They don't have dragons yet. And Violet wakes up and she comes back to her bunk bed one day and she finds a book left for her via Mira. Like her sister has a book delivered to her and she realizes it's their dead brother Brennan's book of like advice on how to survive the academy. How fucking convenient.
I know.
And there's this tidbit early on in the beginning where Brennan's like, hey, by the way, all of the professors like pre-match the combatives assignments. So if you can find out who you're going to be fighting the next day, maybe you'll have a better chance of winning.
There's a moment towards the end where Xaden kind of remarks on the fact that Violet always knows who's going to be up against who during combatives. And my question is like, did no one think to look at this like master plan combatives?
Again, if you're in a common room with rows of bunk beds, your shit's gonna get rifled through.
Yeah.
There is no privacy. People are gonna look through your shit or they're gonna steal your shit.
Yeah. But also like in an organization that promotes people being individuals, nobody thought to go look through the like teacher's room.
No.
What?
It's only Violet that has this particular skill because she's special.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be special.
Oh my God. That's her throughout this whole fucking book. Yeah. Combatives, she's matched up against, I don't even know. And she's panicking because she's not good at combatives. And she has some line about how her sister had so long to train to be good at combatives and she's only had 6 months. And it's like, go be a scribe. Dane gave you an out.
Dane keeps giving her outs. He's like, you're not cut out for this. You're weak. Let me. And hot take, Dane is right.
Yeah.
I hate to say it like this, but not everyone is meant to do this kind of stuff. Like some people physically cannot do this job and that's okay. There are other jobs for you.
Yeah.
You're a liability to the people around you, which is something that's echoed in the book where people are like, keep hating on Violet. Like, oh, you're going to hurt the squad. You're a liability to the flight because you're weak.
And it's proven.
It's fucking true, actually.
And I think what annoys me the most is we're continually given this dialogue within like the actions of events or whatever that Violet really is kind of weaker. But she's like very insistent that like
she's not.
No, it's not true. But we get halfway through the book and someone helps her go to the gym to be stronger. But my thing is like, if you know that you're weak, why didn't you start going to the gym immediately?
Why wasn't she going to the gym 6 months before she went to academy when she started training to carry a rucksack?
Yeah. Again, this is like kind of like a weird gaslighting plot hole, like plot sinkhole shit. Okay, whatever. Matches. She decides to put herself on one of the details for breakfast.
Kitchen detail.
Yeah, it was suspicious. And she's like, you guys will find out later why I'm doing this. And everybody's like, oh, Violet is so smart. And it turns out that because she has this foreknowledge of who she's going to be like up against, because she checks the little board or whatever, which, wow, I did nobody think of that before. She decides to put poison in the meals of the people that she's going up against. Wow, why did nobody decide to do that beforehand?
And also, how does she somehow miraculously know the exact dosage. Oh, she studied poisons.
Her poison skills are unparalleled to anyone else who has ever studied poison. She is the smartest woman in the entire world.
All right, shout out to a book called Poison Study by Maria Snyder that goes into detail about what it is actually like to take small dosages of a poison.
Yeah.
And build an immunity, and how fucking awful it is to do that.
She vomits all over herself, pisses all over herself. There's multiple points where it's like, girl, is it worth it?
Yep. So if you want someone who actually knows and understands the significance and the reality of using poisons,
and you get a little master apprentice romance.
It's called Poison Study, again, by Maria Snyder. Read that book instead.
Yes, we even have episodes about it. A little tagline in the middle of this episode.
Any book about this one?
Anyways, Violet obviously does miraculously well in all of her matches, and nobody remarks, why?
That's how this weak little woman is winning against all of these big burly people who've been training for years.
Girl!
So she sneaks out one night collecting her poisons. That's been her thing. She leaves her bunk bed in the middle of the night. She goes out to the forest because that's totally kosher. That's going to happen without anyone seeing.
Nobody is going to know.
And she goes out collecting poisons. And as she's out collecting her little herbs. Sorry.
Herbs and spices. Sorry. I am losing my mind.
We both are. It's okay. She gets her stuff, and then she hears voices in the woods, and she's like, oh, fuck.
Oh,
and
no.
So she somehow manages to climb a tree, because that's what a weak person who's been studying books her whole life knows how to do. I can't climb a fucking tree. Are you kidding me?
And the explanation for this amazing power is just she's done it a lot as a child. But again, that does not... It's the gaslighting. It's the gaslighting for me. This is an abusive relationship. This bitch is telling me things that I know are not true, and she's making me doubt it.
She somehow climbs a tree. She's hiding up on a branch, and then she sees Xaden Riorson stroll into Xaden.
Sorry, I'm gonna come down.
He's accompanied by a group of rebels.
Oh no.
They're all marked children.
Marked ones.
Yeah, they are the children of the revolution, and they are gathering. And somehow we learn in this instance, because she likes to recite facts to the reader.
I'm so nervous.
Oh my God. We can't.
Oh no.
The rebels can't congregate in groups of more than 3, and they're breaking the laws, and they could all be executed right now. What another dumb fucking rule.
But then it gets worse, because it's basically just, hey guys, I know everything is set up against us to fail, but if you need any help, I am here to help you, etc. And Violet's like, oh no, it's for the right reason. So
it's just a teddy bear.
But it's like, girl, you were just telling Jack Barlow on the parapet that he can't kill you because you took a step off of it. But this is an actual violation of the
Holy
codex.
Shit, that's a good...
Yeah, and she's like, but it's for the right reasons.
Oh my God, that is such a contradiction in the character between reciting the rules, wanting to follow the rules, and then getting mad at when people either break the rules for the wrong reasons or break the rules for the right reasons, and she's okay with it.
It's because she's a narcissist. She cannot conceive of the fact that anything that she does is wrong. Absolutely not. She is always right. Yes. And so she sees nothing wrong with all of these people, and she sees them sneak off into the night. They've, assigned mentees and mentors. Everybody's going to get the help they need between this group of rebel children. And she's like, okay, they've been gone for 8 minutes. Let me climb down. It's like, girl, my ass would be in that tree for the rest of the night.
Daylight would need to arrive.
Yeah, I would sprint
myself before I would climb out of that tree.
No.
But she's like, you know what? I've waited long enough. I climbed down.
8 minutes.
Shadows swirled around me.
Obviously, the shadow daddy, Xaden, pops out of the darkness, and he's like, bitch, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And she's like, but don't. And I really don't even know how they come to this agreement that she's not gonna tell anyone, and he all
believes
of a sudden trusts her. But she's convinced that he hates her. It's like, girl, he now has something to hold over your head to get you in trouble. But he hates you. This is enemies to lovers. What?
Dumb. It's such a it's
stupid.
The author set out to create enemies to lovers, set out to create underpowered heroine, overpowered hero, and is just checking the boxes as she goes, even if it doesn't make sense for the rest of the plot and the characters.
And we will go into extreme detail of why that's true because it falls in the same pattern that Sarah Maas had with the Crescent City series, where we had an underpowered heroine, and then, wow, all of a sudden she's the strongest, most amazing person. And that happens in this book too, a little bit later. Because the next scene is the gauntlet. Oh no, Violet can't do it. She keeps failing and she keeps falling off and she has to pass this.
And the gauntlet is like a fucking obstacle course.
Like, yeah, it's like a American Ninja.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You're leaping to shit. You're carrying yourself across bars.
Yeah. And it's like, once you get to the battle scene between dragons, you realize why this is like necessary. But because Violet is special, basically, she's like, I need to come up with some way to pass or else I'm not going to be able to get a dragon.
She doesn't even come up with it on her own. She
doesn't. That's she.
She keeps failing the gauntlet. So here's the setup with the academy. You have to make it through the gauntlet. You attend all these battle brief classes. Battle brief is just, hey, history lesson for battles.
Oh, yeah. And in that one, obviously, they call on her and they're like, oh, wow,
you're
General
so
Sorengale.
smart.
Yeah. They're like, well, all of your siblings were really strong, but you're smarter than all of them.
All of you girlies that like to read books, here's a shout out to you.
But it's like, okay, I read books, so I'm smarter, and I realize that this is stupid. I want to be, reasonably misbelieved.
My dear readers, Katie is posed as if she is the most interesting man in the world from that Old Spice commercial.
In my double XL t-shirt, and it looks like I don't have pants on.
Fantastic.
That's me in a nutshell. It looks like I don't have pants on, drinking, using British voice.
That's our podcast in a nutshell.
Honestly. Gauntlet.
So she makes it through all these classes. They keep training for the gauntlet. They have some sort of squad camaraderie thing going on.
I know, because I can't even really...
Like
there's not much like plot-wise except for individual points.
And this is why the book doesn't need to be 650 pages long at all.
No.
They make it to the gauntlet. She keeps falling off because she's a weak little bitch. Yeah. And
a bunch of her squad mates die randomly throughout the events for some reason. And she gives us one little tidbit fact about them and then they die.
Yep.
It's like, that's the way to know that someone's about to die is like, oh, his favorite color is blue? That guy's gonna die.
But Xaden chimes in real, late in the game.
Yeah.
As she's, complaining to him, in this awkward, one-on-one moment. Oh, I'm not going to pass the gauntlet. I don't know what to do. I'm just too weak.
Because also, why is a first year talking to a third year? Because, if you think in a high school setting, your seniors are not talking to freshmen unless they're, predators.
If you also think that this is a military structure, he's a wing leader.
Yeah.
How many section leaders and squad leaders does he have below him?
At least 2, if not 3.
Yeah. He's got bigger shit to deal with than little miss, I need help.
Yeah.
And yet, somehow he finds time for her. Fine, everyone.
And to give her advice about her specific issue.
But this is what annoyed me. He is very cryptic and he's like, well, you don't have to follow the rules exactly.
Yeah.
Just use all of the means at your disposal to get through the gauntlet. And he's very cryptic about it for no reason when he could have just said, use your fucking daggers to climb the wall.
Yeah. You're already she found you out of bed at night. You have that holding over her head. You could kill her at any time. But all of a sudden, this is the thing that you're going to be cryptic about.
It's weird. But she takes this as gospel. Oh, it's okay because my wing leader says it's okay.
And again, we are told that Xaden fucking hates her. Yet he gave her the out to get through this thing that otherwise she would die. But she is still fucking convinced that Xaden hates her. I don't fucking understand. Okay, I'm done. Woo-doop. Oh my god, the gauntlet. Violet passes miraculously because she uses her dagger and then she gets to the top and someone's like, wait a second, you didn't really accomplish this task.
You broke the rules. How dare you? And then Xaden's like, well, did she really break the rules? And she's like, according to the codex, I didn't break the rules. And her little, according to the codex, is like, excuse me.
I know. Jordan just made the pushing up glasses thing, which I have to do that all the time because I also wear glasses periodically. But also it's true because when I push them up, I'm like, well, actually.
And yet she somehow makes it through the gauntlet. She passes her squad. And up until this point, her squad is the most successful squad.
Yeah.
We skipped through a couple scenes where people were flamed alive because they were weak
for like no
real reason. Like it was just like, oh, death happens here.
Yeah.
Flames.
Yeah. Because that's kind of my beef is everyone is like a caricature of who, like an actual person. Like they're all just like fake, like 13-year-olds. Like, because there is a scene, I'm direct quoting this shit. This is a quote. "You'll pay for that." Jack points at me and stalks off, but the rise and fall of his shoulders is a little choppy. That is like a 13-year-old, like, "You're gonna pay!" And then he walks away. Like, that's an actual direct quote from this fucking book.
You know what? What I really hate when I read reviews of other books, and like I'm going to take a step back and like tone down our hate a little bit. Because what I dislike doing is critiquing the author when we should be critiquing the book. Like, I don't want to critique the person. I don't know their background. I don't know anything about them. Like, I don't know them personally. I will critique the work and the characters as if they're real people and like treat it like if this were, how do we process this if these were real people acting in a world?
Yeah.
In the world with the rules that we understand. But it's as if our characters, Violet specifically, doesn't understand the meaning of death, which is very weird because her father died early. Her brother died early. They're a nation at war where people are constantly dying. People, 6 out of 10 people fell off the parapet to their deaths.
Yeah.
And yet it's this constant sense that death is this removed thing and it happens so casually that people just write it off.
Yeah.
Except for these glimmers of moments where Violet thinks, oh, someone just died. I need to feel that.
Yeah.
And this is my like caveat, step aside. It's as if the author doesn't get death.
It feels like a hot take, but I don't think that's a hot take because you have actual proof that that's what's happening.
It's very upsetting because I can't pretend to understand death. I haven't experienced it myself in a lot. Like I just have a very small family and I have not encountered it in a lot of different senses. But if you're going to treat death so frequently in your world, you need to treat it with the gravity that it entails.
Yeah. And I feel like because I've had people close to me die, and this is obviously like again a philosophical like aside during
this
our talk.
This is the sangria speaking.
Yeah. And it's like I've had people close to me die, and it's kind of like the random moments where you're just like doing things and you're like, that person isn't on this plane of existence anymore. I can't like talk to them about something funny that happened. But it's like we never know anyone in this book well enough to like feel their absence. So it feels like death is just like a mechanism to move the plot along. And I think that kind of cheapens the deaths that happen in this. And so you have like main characters like later that die, and it's like, okay, like what's the difference between him and the guy that fell off the parapet? Like, I don't know really anything more about him except he's had a couple more lines. So it's just like, it's not a very like real depiction of death.
It's not. And it's also, it creates a fake depiction of death for readers who also aren't familiar with it. So if you don't encounter death, on a day-to-day basis, or like if you,
where you're just like, oh no, and then you go about your business. It's like, It could also be, I think, the dichotomy of tones within it. So we have these really heavy themes of this is a nation at war. There's constant death. People around them are constantly dying for kind of like silly reasons, whatever. But like the tone in all of the dialogue is like very kind of reality TV or like middle schoolers.
Oh, my friend just died, but I want to fuck you tomorrow.
Yeah. I think it's the dichotomy of like, it's the gaslighting. Like you're told that these are very extreme circumstances. Everyone's dying. You like have to give it your all because your nation's like on the brink of falling apart. But it's like, we also have this dialogue that's like, you'll pay for that. It's like, that's not like, you have to pick one. You can't have both or else you have this weird like separation between what you're reading and what you're understanding.
All right. Well, let's get back to the
gauntlet. She passed. Of course, it's a girl that points out you're not allowed to do that. Because there's also a line in here earlier that it's like some girl that points out like, oh my God, Violet, you dumbass. And it's like, you're just a mean bitch. It's like, can we get over this whole like mean girl thing? Like, God. But of course, it's a girl that's like, you can't do that.
And yet Xaden is there to back her up. And so she passes the gauntlet, her squad passes the gauntlet, and things are great. And they are getting ready for threshing, which threshing in Fourth Wing World is the selection of dragons to writers.
Yeah.
In the sense that
the dragons have to pick you.
And the dragons may not like you.
This was the part I liked. This was the part that I actually sped through.
Yeah, this is the part where, if you were kind of like, this is okay, I'm getting through this book, this is where the plot picks up and where you will read until you get to the next page. Yeah. And this is where I'm very torn because, if the author does these action scenes in this very well, like if she picks a different, I don't know, character type, plot device, world.
I almost wonder if this was told in the third person, if we could take out some of the like silly nonsense Violet scenes and it would be more concise and better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's because we get like too much Violet. It's like, nah, I don't want any of her.
So there's like pre-dragon picking, which is called
The presentation,
which is kind of hilarious, actually.
This is funny.
Yeah. So all the squads get ready, and then there's a big valley, and all the dragons line up on the edges of the valley, and all those little human squad members go single file, separated by 5 to 7 feet, through the valley, and the dragons just kind of eyeball them.
Yeah. And it's even encouraged that you like talk to people so that they can get like a feel for who you are as a person, but like. A little bit of a plot hole, like you just fake it?
Yeah.
Okay. But somehow there's still people, like the person in front of her who's just a fucking idiot. And he's like, do you see that little gold dragon at the end? We should just kill it because it's like the weakest link. And then obviously the dragons are like, no, thank you. You're talking about killing one of us. And they blow him up with fire. And then Violet's like, holy fuck.
These dragons mean business. And then a couple dragons like lean in and like start sniffing her. She's like, oh, these are big motherfuckers.
Oh my god. But like, how big did you think the dragons were?
I pictured like, if you see paintings of like St. George and the Dragon.
Yeah.
That's what I pictured.
Yeah.
Were big ass dragons.
A slightly big car?
No.
Because I imagine them like being like big, like plane sized.
Plane. Like,
yeah.
Plane sized.
But then there's like scenes where it seems like they're just like kind of like maybe like an Escalade sized.
It's very confused. Strange. But yeah, so the presentation happens. It's kind of a cool scene. You get a sense of the dragons. And the whole, why the dragon riders are a thing is because dragons have their own society in this world. Mm-hmm. They have their own like government and structure, and they're like intelligent beings that choose to bond with a human person because by choosing that person, like there's a mutual benefit of magic. Mm-hmm.
But it's also mutual destruction because if a rider dies, normally if the dragon's really bonded with them, they die too. And then if the dragon dies, the rider also dies.
Exactly.
So it's like, ooh,
there's
stakes.
Like a telepathic thing going on here. So everyone benefits, and like the dragons also want to like protect this land because the magical wards that ward off against the griffins, they're trying to do that. Yeah. So yeah, people get burned alive during presentation, and it's people who deserve it because Violet is like, oh,
they're so bad. They're meanie heads.
Yep. And she makes it through. The golden dragon is like this tiny little dragon, like that's what I pictured the size of a car.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
Like a VW bug.
I could see that, yeah, because she's not big enough to carry anyone. And they're like, why is this little baby dragon here?
Yeah.
Spoiler, it's a baby dragon.
It's a baby dragon. She's got no claws.
No. Just a cutie pie.
It's adorable.
Her Andara?
Yeah.
Andarana? Something.
So that's kind of where we're going to leave off. Violet survives this. She gets sniffed a lot by some dragons who are like, you're a weird human, but we'll take it. Yeah,
okay.
And some people get burned alive, which is traumatic, honestly, if you process it in the moment the way you're supposed to.
Yeah. Somebody just burnt, like the smell alone, like you curl your hair and you burn hair. That's the most heinous smell. And then you magnify that by like 8 bajillion because it's someone being burned alive. Like that's traumatic. And she's like, oh no, it was a bad person. So it doesn't really matter. And she walks along and gives no second thoughts to it.
Nope, that's okay. She just processes death right in front of her with no qualms.
Yeah. Is she a psychopath too?
Maybe, especially given what happens later in this book. So
wow.
We're going to stop there.
Yeah.
We will pick up next week. This is going to be a longer series of reviews for The Fourth Wing. We might go on 4 to 5 episodes, but
in our defense, it's a 650-page book.
The Blue Sword was 240.
Yeah. But even that you could talk about for a long time because all sentences are required and necessary and give you something.
Yep.
But there's like so many fucking lines in this that it's like, why is this here? It needed a really good scrub of an editor.
All right.
Anyways, from our shelf to yours.
We'll see you on the next page.
Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.
Bussin'.